In my previous lesson, I added 2 fallback fonts, plus their generic family, which is sans-serif, to the font family property. You might be wondering, what exactly is sans-serif, and why is it there? This is where generic font families come in. In CSS, we have 5 generic font families, and sans-serif is one of them. Stick with me till the end, and I'll show you the remaining 4. Under these families, I'll also list some popular system fonts that are likely already installed on the user's device. And by users, I mean your site visitors. So what does a generic font family really do? A generic font family is not a specific font. Instead, it's a category of fonts, grouped by how they look. For example, Arial and Roboto both fall under the sans-serif category. That's why it's best practice to always use fallback fonts that belong to the same group. Now, when the browser reads this, here's what it means. First, try Arial. If Arial is not available, try Roboto. If neither is available, pick any font on the user system that belongs to the sans-serif family. This process is called a fallback. To make this even clearer, let me list some system fonts that fall under the sans-serif family. I already mentioned 2 before. Let me add 2 more, Helvetica and Verdana. Now imagine this, the first 2 fonts you provided are not found on the user's device, but the device does have Helvetica or Verdana. In that case, sans-serif will happily pick one of those system fonts, and your text will still display nicely on the user's devices. So how can you identify a sans-serif font? Sans-serif fonts do not have decorative strokes on the edges of letters. They look clean, simple, and modern. This family is the most commonly used on websites, mobile apps, and user interfaces. These are usually system fonts, meaning they're already installed on most devices. That's why using sans-serif as a fallback is very safe. Almost every device has at least one sans-serif font, even if it doesn't have all of them. Now that I've explained what a generic family does, let's use the same idea for the next one, serif. Serif fonts have thick and thin strokes with small decorative edges. They feel traditional, formal, and serious. Serif fonts are commonly used in books, newspapers, and long reading content. Fonts like Times New Roman, Georgia, and Cambria fall under this family. When you use serif as a fallback, the browser will choose any available serif font on your system if your listed fonts are not found. Next, we have monospace. In monospace fonts, every character takes the same width. This family is mainly used for code, programming tutorials, and technical content. Because all letters line up perfectly, code becomes easier to read. Fonts like Courier New, Consalis, and Monaco belong here. Using monospace tells the browser, give me a font where all characters line up evenly. Another generic family is cursive. Cursive fonts look like handwriting. They are decorative, expressive, and stylish. These fonts are usually used for headings, invitations, and creative designs. They are not meant for long text because they reduce readability. Fonts like Comic Sans MS, Brush Script MT, and Lucida Handwriting fall into this family. Important warning.